Valentina Thörner. Thörner?
Just like Tina Turner.
Ah, Turner.
Yeah.
Not bad. Great example too, Tina Turner. Can't get better than that. You're with Automatic Support Lead.
Exactly.
Yes? Yep.
Exactly.
Within Woo?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, nice. Because yesterday you were wearing a Woo shirt and refused to take ours. So, not that I'm holding on to any grudges, but I remember that. Okay, so I want to start with something slightly off topic that's a little personal for me.
That's fine.
How do you work remotely with kids?
Well, I love kindergarten.
Yeah.
So with kids, what you need is clear structures. So, for example, working remotely, I can actually put my day into different batches. So I work from like 6 in the morning until 7:30. Then the kids wake up. Then I'm there for the kids. Then at 9, I bring them to kindergarten and they only come back at 4. So that's kind of the core part of my day. And then some days I'll log back in when they are in bed after 8 to get in touch with my colleagues in the US.
Okay.
So they are 3, so for now they still go to bed early and wake up early too.
Yeah, the wake up early is it's a killer. My son wakes up at 6 o'clock.
Oh yeah, no, mine, in that case, mine sleep really well until 7:30.
Oh, excellent. I'm jealous. So you have twins, no?
Yeah.
Boy and a girl, or?
Yep.
That's all right, better than 2 boys.
I don't know. I have what I have and it works out great so far.
Were they the perfect training for dealing with unruly customers?
Kind of. So what you learn with kids is that when they have a problem, this is the most important problem in the world for them.
Yeah.
And with customers it's the same. Like whatever they are complaining about, whatever they need help with, this is the most important thing in the world for them.
Yep.
Because all their focus is on this. So in order to actually get to a solution, you first need to empathize with this, okay, I hear you, I know this sucks, or this is a problem. And only when you get past this, this is horrible state, then you can actually move forward to a solution. And kids are a great training ground for that. Now, don't have kids just because you want to learn that.
It's too late.
Oh yeah, I absolutely think so. Especially nowadays. Because it's very easy to compare products with each other. So it's very easy for me to find a product or a service that does something very similar. And then how do I compare these two? If the price is very similar, the offer is very similar, in the end I'm going to look at, okay, if I have a problem, who gives me more security in terms of they will work it out with me? And then customer support suddenly is a big selling point.
Yeah, we were talking about this yesterday. One of our colleagues said if he has a problem with a product, generally he just asks for a refund and gets something else.
Yeah.
And then keeps that cycle going because it's easy
because
enough to do.
you can. Yeah, exactly.
So, what advice would you have for business owners to not pivot, but to take more advantage of these situations before they move?
Don't look at customer support as something that, oh my God, I have to do it because, I mean, they're asking for it. Have a strategy around it. So decide what can you offer in terms of customer support, when can you offer it, on which channels are you offering it. It's absolutely fine to say, look, I cannot offer phone support because we are not enough people to staff the phone. But in that case, tell the client, hey, you can reach us on Twitter, or you can reach us in this support form, or like explain exactly to the client where they can reach you and what they can expect in return. So let's say you ask for a refund and then you hear nothing. And it's super unnerving because it feels like they are holding on to your money. But if you get an autoresponder that says, hey, we have received your email, we are going to respond in the next 48 hours, then suddenly it's like, okay, I can wait 48, at least I know it has gotten somewhere. So by having a clear framework and telling customers, look, this is where you can contact us, this is how long it will take, and this is where you can see where the stages of your ticket or your whatever the form is of interaction, you kind of calm down this, oh my God, I'm not being heard fear. Because the customer doesn't know that you have 33,000 other things to do. They only see their problem. So basically creating that safe space where they know, okay, I'm being taken care of, really helps to de-escalate this.
So your talk was a lot about how to turn customer support into a growth engine. Right? How do you help your support team become growth experts?
So basically, customers talk to each other, and of course they usually talk about what didn't work. So most of the shout outs, if you look on social media, it's like, oh, this company completely screwed it up. But if you manage to keep the amount of screw-ups to a minimum while being very consistent on delivering what people expect, you can actually turn your customer support into a feature for your product. So that people come to you because of the product and the customer support. And then suddenly it's something very distinctive. And your product will always be something not very personal. But your customer support will always be very personal because it touches on a personal product and even a personal connection. So even people that do not use the customer support, knowing that it would be there if they needed it, like it gives a lot of acknowledgement to we value you as a customer. It's like people who say, I want to have a house with a look at the beach, and you're like, you've never in your entire, you hate the beach. Like, why do you? Yeah, but if I could go, if I wanted to. And it gives the house a higher standing because you could if you wanted to. And with customer support, it's the same. It's like, it shows that you value not only your product and your own ROI, you also value the customer. Depends. It really depends on your business model, and it depends on how big your business is. If you are only one person, you probably want to keep to one or two channels where people can contact you, where you can also then process it in the same channel. For example, you could say, okay, you can contact me via Twitter and this email form. Or you can say, hey, if you have a very tech-savvy audience, well, we are in this Slack community, so get in touch there. But like keep it very, very small in scope, and make it very clear where people can contact you. Now, if you have a support team with like 50 agents, it's a different conversation, because then you can say, okay, these people will take care of phone support, they will be there for Twitter, and those will be there for live chat or whatever. So it depends very much on what you can do and what you want to do. And when it comes to customer feedback, you can ask for feedback after each interaction, and in that case you need to be very careful what the customer is actually giving feedback on, because very often the feedback a customer gives says more about the day that customer had than about the customer agent that worked with this customer. So these metrics can be very helpful, but you need to like critically look at them from time to time and maybe experiment with the kind of questions you ask. My current pet peeve is, how was your survey? Please rate from 0 to 10. I'm like, is a 7 better? Like, where is the 7 and where is the 6? Making it, and so me as a customer, I'm so confused by what I should answer that in the end I just choose anything, which makes the metric pretty much useless for the receiving side. So in that case, I don't know, take a 4-step. Like, was it okay? Was it better than okay? Was it amazing or was it crap? Like everybody can answer that. Like make it very simple, make it very quick, so that the customer doesn't have to think too much about it.
Yeah, for sure. A long list of questions.
And then that's the same with number of questions. Like if somebody tells me, hey, we are doing this customer research, it will only take you 15 minutes. Like, are you serious? It needs to be very entertaining for me to do 15 minutes of input. Within the conversation, like if the customer is still talking to us, the most important thing is to first validate that feeling. Even if they are wrong, the feeling is real. They are frustrated, whatever the reason. So first you need to like tell them, I understand you are frustrated. Like I can feel why you are so frustrated. And then in the next step, go towards a solution. And it's always helpful, like, for example, I get really triggered if I get emails that are all caps.
Oh, all caps. It's a sin.
My mom writes all caps because she thinks that's easier to read.
Okay.
So I know that there are people who write all caps because culturally or whatever they think this is like to make it easier for you to understand. So in this case, I usually pass the ticket to somebody else and like, can you read this? And together we like find what is actually the content of this email without just directly going into panic mode. Because usually if we feel attacked, we go into flight or fight. And that's not something that you want to do in a ticket. So sometimes it even helps when you answer a customer, never write just the answer. Always write first what you understood. And that really helps to take notes. Like if you get this like half-page, all caps screaming person at you and say, thank you for your message. I understand that you're currently having troubles with your checkout because the money is being taken from the credit card of your customers, but it does not arrive on your bank account. Is that correct? And then you start with and this puts the customer that receives that, and it's like, okay, they have understood my problem. Or if you didn't understand it, they don't scream back at you, but they're like, this is almost correct. Actually, it's not even taken out of and they give you more information than you need. So like always making sure that you reflect back at the customer, you wrote this thing and I understand this is the problem, is that correct? And then they can like still come back if it's not, like clarifying what you're talking about. And that way you can move them from all caps to a civil conversation without telling them, hey, you need to calm down, because that never works.
Yeah.
It helps in terms of how to learn the strategies or the practices is to do role plays from time to time. And just, okay, now, and it's really great if you are the frustrated customer.
Yeah, you can have fun.
Like, it is very fun. And then like one person is the agent, you play the customer, and then you just see what happens, and everybody else can then also chime in. And it's, because it's a real visceral experience, people remember these lessons much more than any training that you can ever do. And then what we do a lot in my team is reviewing each other tickets. So we do peer reviews, not like I review my people, but I also make them review each other, because you can, I mean, 97% of the interactions are perfect.
Yeah.
So, and it's nice to actually get lots of like positive reinforcement, like, oh, I reviewed 10 of your tickets and 9.5 of them were amazing, and there's this one little thing where you might have had tweaked this a little bit. And that way you have, if you do that constantly, you get like these small incremental improvements that over time make a huge difference. So whenever I hear from a company, they tell me, oh wait, we have a 10-day training at the beginning and that is so amazing. I always ask, so, and what is your ongoing training? Because customer support is something that you learn, and it's a craft that you need to practice and actually look at over time. And if you don't have these small improvements over time, you cannot just do a 7-day training course and that's it. Like, you need to constantly work on it. And I think as team leads, we can really facilitate that by helping people to be comfortable with receiving feedback and receiving like input, both positive and negative. And I always look at the negative. It's not, because it's very rare that somebody actually answers a question wrong. It's more like that maybe the tone wasn't really right, or they didn't really validate what the customer said, and these are things that you can work on. And you can work on them while you're working, because so...
Yeah, you get a constant practice.
Exactly, so look at what you're doing. If you're an agent, look at your own answers that you sent out last week, which means that you had a little bit of space to get your brain out of that problem. Look at it again with fresh eyes and be like, oh, I did this amazing, because that also happens. Or, oh, maybe this turn of phrase, now that I'm reading it, doesn't really sound right, so I'm going to use it.
And final question, what in your opinion stops companies from turning customer feedback into growth? Like,
I think because customers tell you what they think and not what you need.
all right.
So they're like, okay, this is my problem, or this is what I think, do. But the product team at the moment is working on something completely different. So the customer feedback, because it comes whenever the customer feels like it and not when you are actively querying for it, sometimes falls into this void. Because it's there and nobody's like, what do we do with this now? It's like when a neighbor comes over, it's like, hey, we just had this amazing strawberries in our garden, here, have a kilo. And you're like, and now there's the strawberry, what do I do with this? I just decided to make lasagna for dinner, this doesn't match. So you need to find a way to actually keep this feedback so that you can use it when it is relevant in a later cycle. And you can use the feedback to actually inform what you're going to work on, but if you don't, make sure you store it somewhere where it's actually accessible. And if you scale and you get so much customer feedback that you don't know how to handle it, put it into buckets. Like, oh, this is feedback about this product, this is feedback about this feature, this is feedback about whatever. And then see if you can somehow find the common denominator and use that for the product team. And you need to work really closely with the product team. Like, customer support should never be part of the company that's out there. Because they talk to your customers, and the customers are who pays everybody's salary, so you better work with them.
It's really good to have them integrated, for sure. Rather than just dumping their information into an archive and going, we've got it, it's okay.
No, there needs to be a feedback loop. And at the same time, the product team can also go actively to support and be like, hey, we're currently working on this new feature. if anybody, and if you feel that customers have something to say about, can you channel that to us directly instead of only in the monthly report or quarterly report or whatever, to make like this communication flow more quick.
So you guys have something like that in place?
Yeah.
What do you do exactly?
So we have two parts. On the one part, we regularly review feedback, and then we do a monthly report. Like, okay, these are the biggest pain points, and this is what is in our power, and this is what, well, it's not really, we can't do anything about it, and we channel that back to the product team. On the flip side, the product team also tells us, look, we are now working on this feature. What do you know about this feature? And just by telling us what they are working on, like everybody's ear perk up, and then when a customer comes in, we're like, oh, the product team wanted to hear something about this, so let me give that to them right away. So it's like a double strategy. From the one side, we proactively channel it to them, and from the other side, they proactively ask us what they need.
Excellent.
And that works, kind of.
But it works.
Yeah, it's an ongoing experiment, and we are still iterating on the processes. But it has helped to move the two teams closer together.
Okay. So it's not a case of just creating an issue and forgetting about it.
No, it's an ongoing conversation,
Yeah.
and it needs to be a conversation.
Okay, excellent.
Thank you very much for the
Thank you.
questions. That was really fun.
Yeah, excellent. I'm glad.